Down. Heckling has become an art form within our society. Be it a distraction or disruptive event or just something funny that people try to do, heckling is one of those things that we've all either seen or done in our past. Myself, I'm no saint. As a die-hard sports fan, I've spent many hours in the stands razzing other teams and saying things that were probably inappropriate at the time. The text defines civility as a social virtue that involves self-control and moderation instead of pride, insolence, and arrogance. These are all things learned with time and careful practice. As I grew older, my ability to be civil rose. My heckling went down. But why is heckling such a large part of our culture, and how has it become an issue of personal ethics? What motivates people to disrupt speeches? For me, the number one issue is the lack of understanding. Robert Bloom, a professor that was in Montreal, wrote an article about being heckled as he gave lectures in his class. He says, as part of his lecture, the probable reason for the heckling, in retrospect, was that the culprits felt a sense of frustration and unease in the class after a long day of stressful employment in non-professional jobs. This goes hand in hand with most of the heckling that takes place, especially at political rallies, which is where heckling has taken center stage over the last couple of years. When people don't understand, they need clarification or want to voice their own opinion. The need to be heard is the number two reason why I think people disrupt speeches. They want their opinion out there, and they take a public forum, and they use it for their own benefit. Lack of thought is the number three issue, and it's something that's also rampant in America. People clearly just don't think sometimes, and they yell out inappropriate things at inappropriate times. Is there ever a place for heckling? For me, I think there is. As I've said before, I'm a sports fan, and it's hard to go to a sporting event without hearing some heckling. Sometimes it's hilarious, and sometimes it's overboard. Sports teams have taken measures to make sure that the hilarious stays and the overboard leaves. Political speeches are also another place that I really don't see a huge problem with heckling. People want to know what their politicians think, and the right to ask questions is part of America. If politicians don't want to answer those questions, they shouldn't go to town hall meetings, they shouldn't campaign, and they should drop out of the political game altogether. Is it ever right? Maybe, maybe not. It's an issue of personal ethics. It's up to you to decide. If you think it's right, then fine, feel free to do it. If you don't, then don't. What responsibility would I weigh over another as a heckler? My responsibility to the speaker comes first. What do I owe them? I owe them my respect if they're a person that I've gone to see. That respect comes with their ability to either A, entertain me, or B, inform me. Once that's gone, at some point or another, I may lose interest and or start heckling. My responsibility to my ethical position is the biggest thing. What do I owe to me? It is my job to point out, at least to myself, misstated facts or fabrications. The text, Jaffe, points out that passing along rumors or other unsubstantiated information are additional types of fabrication. The example given in the textbook is the rumors that flew about Barack Obama during his presidential election. With his middle name being Hussein, it was immediately thought that he was Muslim. Clearly, he is not, and at times I had to correct people in public settings who said he was Muslim and that was the reason they weren't going to vote for him. Do I owe anything to other listeners? I personally do not feel that I do. It's their job to make up their mind. It's my job to make up my mind. Now, if somebody is completely misinterpreting facts or just making things up, fabricating things, then obviously I feel as though I should speak up and correct them, be it for my good or somebody else's. The political climate of our country has brought us to a breaking point. Hot button issues are what are spoken about in all the political speeches across our country. Healthcare was the big one over the last year, and at town hall meetings across the country, people were divided along racial lines, political lines, ethical lines, social lines, and even religious lines. Heckling became one of the things that people used to get their point across. Robert Bloom, the teacher, once again, who was heckled in his class, was told by one of his colleagues, and he reported this in his article, that the heckling would stop in due course once the offenders were either received positive recognition or realized that they had nothing to gain. You see this often with politicians. Once somebody is heckling them, they either answer them or they ignore them altogether. For me, heckling is one of those things that will continue. Once again, it's a personal ethical issue. It's something that you have to choose to do or not to do. If you want it to stop throughout America, pay it no attention or respond to it immediately.